Hello, I'm Christian Amera. This podcast is over. Should we live for today or plan for tomorrow? Like I said, I'm Christian Amera. I'm currently a senior at U of L, studying computer science with minors in philosophy and history. Fadlan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Fadlan. I'm a student at UK with a focus on Foucault. Yeah.
Chris?
I'm Chris Carswell. I'm a student at UK with a focus on audio engineering.
And I am Landon. I am a student at the University of Kentucky. I focus on Chinese and military philosophy.
All right, I'd like to thank you all for showing in this podcast. So today, of course, we're going to be talking about should we live for today or for tomorrow. But we want to put this into terms of musical career. So living for today, we're going to compare that to going full focus on a music career and dropping your day job to pursue it. Planning for tomorrow, it would be keeping your day job and then also trying to pursue a musical career, even though it might consider a little bit less time. So, any of y'all want to go first? And just your thoughts about what would you do?
I think you should go first.
I should go first?
Yeah, you should. You tell us. You tell us, man.
So I believe that you should plan for tomorrow. I believe that I think security in the future is probably the best action to go for because not everything always goes the way if you don't kind of script it, you know? Planning for the future, it's what the letter to Meniscus says by Epicurus. Epicurus argues that the pleasure is the highest good, but it must be pursued in a way that provides lifelong tranquility. I believe this applies directly to music careers and also day jobs as well, because, I mean, if you pursue a music career and you fail, you're kind of left just kind of in a ditch for a while. You can pick up another job or you can keep pursuing the music career, but at the same time, it's going to be kind of rough. If you build up a savings and also build up funds for just day-to-day life with a day job while you put in some focus into a musical career, then, I mean, that's going to provide some more entertainment, more joy, more tranquility in your life.
When there's a will.
That was beautifully spoken. I will say. I do kind of want to say my thoughts for the end, though. So, Chris, if you got someone?
Sure. So we all know that our friend Marcus Aurelius tells us not to be led by our emotions. And so when we practice Stoicism, we often try to not let our emotions take the full front of our decision making. And that's why planning for the future is so important, but also not letting our emotions guide us in the present moment as well. And try to always be a step ahead of what we might be currently thinking in the heat of the moment.
He has a point.
Do you want to expand on that?
I believe that just building your entire life around specific goals and not living in the moment is a crucial part to building a successful life. People should follow their dreams and live in the moment when they have the opportunity to. However, there needs to be that backbone that they can rely on in order to survive and just succeed in the modern lifestyle that is to be a person in this world and to be an American too.
Would you like to express your thoughts on it now, Fadlan?
Okay. So, in regards to all this, the number one thing, putting it in context of the music industry in general, is the music industry it has a lot to do with luck, you know, in terms of, like, you need to have people to watch or listen to your content, to listen to what you have to say. And if you're not, like, really getting out there to, like, a large number of people who may give back to your business, like, there's not a lot of stability in that sense. So while I do agree that, like, you should absolutely, like, plan for longevity of the future and maximizing the amount of potential reward and good out of that, talking about the music industry itself is finicky because you could blow up overnight. And if you know how to capitalize on that spark, that interest of people really wanting to like listen to your music or meme you or like make TikToks out of you, if you really know how to like maneuver that, then you can be set. And you don't have to rely on a backup plan or anything, because if you know how to play the game right, then you're set. But for others who do like a slow grind sort of thing where you're like, you're planning out projects and doing like this slow growth sort of mentality, like little by little, day by day, then yeah, having like a backup plan, or as I like to put it, having a method in in terms of being able to fund that and support that is like of the utmost importance. Because like for me personally, I guess, like, yeah, I love the music. I love everything that has to do with the music. I love all the worlds that I create and just everything involved with it. But at the same time, I also want to be able to support myself. I want to be able to support my family, my future family that I might have, that I will have, things like that. So, with something like this, I don't feel like it's as cut and dry as it seems. I definitely think it's like context dependent.
I think you might have said two different things a little bit there. Or I might have just misunderstood you too. But are you saying that luck is involved in this, or are you saying it's the way you play the game?
There was something that a friend told me a little bit ago, in that luck is probability, right? It's pure chance. But two sides to this, right? You can be lucky and capitalize on that luck, which is what I was talking about earlier. And then also you can put yourselves in a position to be as lucky as you possibly can. Does that make sense?
I believe so. I think my personal stance on that aligns more with Aristotle's, where Aristotle, he doesn't exactly believe in luck. He believes that pure randomness is not a thing. He believes that people's actions and just what they do determine one's character and also their future. It's not by just chance. It's by what you do in life.
Yeah.
Well, if I have anything to like add to that, because I study Chinese and military philosophy. Sun Tzu, while not really considered to be a philosopher, he was a military genius. And in The Art of War, he said, victory is reserved for those who are willing to pay the price. That shows that even with luck, a lucky break, you still have to be able to manage everything. You have to be willing to sacrifice some things, whether it's family life or money or anything that you might hold dear. You still have to be able to make specific sacrifices in order to succeed. Yeah, when military formations get clogged, it's swollen. and you still have to find a way to succeed, even if like a line's swollen, you're getting defeated left and right by your adversaries. You have to find a way to go through, push forward, and go through to absolute victory. Either if it's this dumb luck, like getting your lucky break, like someone in music would do, or if it's hard work and marketing yourself, or getting out that specific song that's just needed to get your big break.
What's your perspective on that, Mr. Carswell?
Yeah, I agree. I wonder if Sun Tzu had thought about a career in art or music. Perhaps he was kind of forced into that position of war, but I think we all kind of force ourselves in a position of being pressured by not only ourselves but by society. And when we are looking for a career in music, it is very easy to live almost statically in the future and not in the present, because all we can think about is what we need to do next to reach our goal. And I believe this could almost cripple us if we kind of quit our job or kind of leave our town and without being prepared. You know, we do hear about the stories of leaving everything behind and having a big break, but it is such a risk that it's something that I could never recommend somebody do. But it is really inspiring when people do get out there and achieve that goal by leaving their town. So I believe living in the present and the future is all about a balance. And while, as cliche as that sounds, it really is about being able to live in the present moment, because if you are always somewhere in the future, you will look back at the end of your life and realize you never lived in the moment until your very last one. So finding a balance in life and all things really comes down to the moment we're living in, the moment we're planning for, and the moments that have already passed.
I feel like this actually has to do a lot with Meditations, book 5 in it, because in it, Marcus C. reflects on himself about how he wants to focus on the present, but he also has to accept that there's an inevitable fate that he eventually has to, go into, that he has to face. So I feel like this kind of has to do a lot about it, basically exactly like it. But kind of switching the topic a little bit, Aristotle, he has this concept called eudaimonia, which is it's just the lifelong pursuit of flourishing through virtuous action. Are y'all familiar with virtuous action, or?
Not entirely.
Yeah, can you do a little bit of explaining?
Yeah, so virtuous action it's just actions that reflect moral excellence, and it's guided by reason. So aiming towards what is good and what's aligned with a person's characters and values. What are some ways that someone can do this through music?
By being compassionate and helping others.
Giving back to the community.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't want a crabs in a bucket scenario where we're taking down other artists who are trying to get to the same end result that we are. So I think compassion first, and if getting to your end goal would result in having somebody be hurt, then I think there's always another way around. And I think helping somebody who you see as an enemy could be more beneficial than going for revenge or focusing on any sort of amnesty.
Actually, me and Fadlan, we were kind of talking about this a little bit earlier before the podcast, but you kind of described like a utilitarian approach to it, and we kind of saw eudaimonia as like also a utilitarian approach. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
I think I can describe that better. No offense or anything, but Confucius, because I study Chinese philosophy, Confucius said that the superior man seeks what is right, the inferior man seeks what is profitable. And what he suggests in that is that good fortune only arises from pursuing righteousness, not self-serving or opportunistic behavior. So maybe seek less to what is actually profitable. Be what you're supposed to be. Be the best you can be. Mm-hmm. And if that helps people in the long run, then it only helps you in your career, because then you're kind of seen as a philanthropist as well as someone to actually be looked up to, someone who's inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Chinese philosophy, but I can I think I can see the reasoning behind that. So to another kind of shift in topic. So I wonder if we can combine the Epicurean focuses with Aristotle's pursuit of eudaimonia. So Epicurus, like I kind of mentioned before earlier in the podcast, he believes that pleasure is the highest good. There's no other better pleasure. There's no other better pleasure. It is the highest good, and it must be pursued in a way that sets you up for a lifetime. Mm-hmm. But Aristotle, he believes in the concept of eudaimonia, which is the lifelong pursuit of flourishing through virtuous actions. So the biggest difference there is the virtuous actions parts. And also, Aristotle, he kind of believes that you can kind of focus more on just day to day without preparing for tomorrow. That's not his full argument, but he kind of leans more towards that way. Is there any way we can combine these focuses? So eudaimonia and virtuous actions, along with a lifelong of tranquility.
Could you summarize eudaimonia better a little bit, just so that my common brain can understand it a little more?
So eudaimonia is just living through good actions, so things that are moral, things that are right, things that align with your character. So someone's morals might not align with someone else's morals.
Okay.
So it depends from person to person.
So whatever's morally virtuous, essentially.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyone have any ideas?
I guess living through virtuous action and balancing that with just the utility of seeking pleasure, it's hard to marry those two. But you can seek pleasure while also living virtuously. You know, because it depends on where you as a person are deriving pleasure from, and I think that's a more macro look into the human psychology, is like where does the individual person's like derive pleasure from. And so that word pleasure is kind of a slippery slope of like somebody just to seek pleasure because pleasure is the ultimate good. But I feel like we've kind of grown past that as a kind of a collective consciousness. We've grown past just just needing pleasure. I think maybe we could derive something deeper than something that could be described as pleasure from seeing others thrive because of the actions we've done.
Yeah, I guess in that sense you'd have to like kind of categorize pleasure as in like what kind of pleasure you're like referring to, because there's like the hedonistic pleasures of like, you know, when you're gambling or whatever and you get that dopamine hit, or you know, sex or something like that where it's like instantaneous.
I will kind of chip in where the Epicurean kind of view of pleasure is no pain, nothing else besides pleasure. So if
So
say
pure hedonism?
well, Epicurean,
Yeah, but do you know what I mean in terms of
explain.
So like hedonism is kind of what I was like referring to in that it's like instantaneous gratification, right? At least from what I remember, from what I learned.
Somewhat. So I think a good example of like Epicurean pleasure would be to compare it to maybe a friendship. So say that friendships come with hardships as well, of course. An Epicurean would say after the first hardship, it's not worth it anymore because it's not solely providing pleasure.
It's rather black and white.
It is.
It's very the childish comes to mind. You know?
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree.
Can I rewind real quick?
Yeah.
So I have something to say. Epicurus, great guy. He has a quote that I think is worth mentioning. He says, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not." And this urges contentment with one that possesses rather than chasing fleeting desires. So that happiness, that dopamine hit that Fallen said from like gambling or sex or whatever, don't necessarily chase those feelings. Just once you've earned those things, just be humble for what you have instead of going after those things specifically. Because then it becomes lustful almost, like becomes more of a problem than it does actually a benefit for everyone around you.
Yeah, like
that.
if you think of like addiction, that's quite literally what it is. It's always chasing after that next hit, that next dopamine hit.
Well, how can we apply this to a musical career?
You could change. You could apply it by just seeing somebody who may get the initial feeling of pleasure from leaving everything that they have built up so far in their life to create a new identity as an artist or a musician, and seeing only destruction after that happening.
I was gonna mention like maybe if you get like a really big song and you get all that attention and all that positivity, and maybe there's like a few 100,000 TikToks on it, and then you're trying, I guess in this very instance, you'd be like trying to chase after that success again, and then maybe you're able to replicate it once more, but there's also a possibility that you might not ever reach those highs again, which kind of connects to what Landon was saying, and it's like, don't like stress about what you don't have.
I agree. For example, what I usually have on me at all times is like phone, wallet, keys, right? But for example, I lost my keys on Tuesday, and when I didn't have it, it reminded me of it actually reminded me of Epicurus when he says, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not." I did desire my keys, but again, I didn't spoil what I had. Like, I still have my car, right? All I have to do is just find my keys. I'm not chasing down my keys to find my desires or anything by any means, but I was humble in my current state when I didn't have my keys. I was just thinking about it. On Tuesday, when I didn't have my keys, I had to go to work, but I was humble. I was like, I still have a job. I still have all of this. I still have all my belongings, my family, my loved ones. All I have to do is find my keys. I'm not chasing the desire of having my keys. It's just something that I needed in my life. So just trying to recover that was just a simple task. I didn't make it my entire personality for losing my keys.
Actually, I got a question for you, Landon.
What's that question?
So to the general question of should we live for today or plan for tomorrow, do you think chasing something, do you think that aligns more with living for today or planning for tomorrow?
Chasing something, I believe, is always for living for today. It's the only thing on your thought. It's what you're thinking about. Living for tomorrow, I think, is just being humble for what you have, thinking about being prepared. You can have those goals for what you're chasing in the long run, but if you're just thinking about it constantly, if it's borderline like an obsession that you're thinking about, you're only focused on today. You're not focused on anything real close in the future.
So do you believe that there's a difference between chasing a music career and pursuing a music career?
I do believe there's a difference. A pursued music career involves, I believe much more planning than chasing one would. Because if you chase one, I have a feeling that you're just trying to be like others who have succeeded. You're trying to directly replicate them and their success. But if you're pursuing one, it's a planned one. You might have a song or something that you just wrote, and you're planning on dropping on this day. Maybe it's a day that's better for marketing for you. Maybe it's a day in which like there's like indie music or something, and you have like the position to actually go out there and perform your song. Chasing things will, I believe, in my personal opinion, only lead to poor results rather than gratification for a long planned out task.
What's your perspective on that, Mr. Carswell?
Yeah, I think it's the difference between just investing over just doing. I think when you invest in something, we have a plan and we work towards it every day instead of just hoping to have immediate results as soon as we do something. And understanding that when we do something now and we don't get an immediate result, that we can expect something later from the grander design of what we're trying to do.
Hey, Chris Carswell, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you say about like planning ahead, pursuing like a career or something,
Mm-hmm.
how do you, in your line of work, prevent yourself from just becoming burnt out, overdone, instead of, how do you prevent yourself from chasing a career to pursuing a career? What's your best strategy to not try to live in that day and plan for the future?
Well, to not get burnt out, to answer that, I think it's important to give yourself small rewards and small breaks, because I feel like if we just keep running on one idea or one project without stopping, it's easy to get burnt out, get jaded, and as soon as our mental awareness starts fading, then we just start getting tired of even thinking about it, and it becomes less of a passion and more of work. And so I think it's important to let ourselves have small breaks. I've kind of quantized mine to small rewards throughout the day, just of like after I get done with a project, I'll get up and like make myself some hot tea and walk around and then have a break mentally and then get back to it. But I think is to answer the other question, how do we invest? I think first it's just about learning and understanding what your obstacles are and writing those down and understanding what you perceive to be the obstacles in your way, and then speaking to those who you believe are wise and look up to in the field that you are looking to go into, and having them outline the obstacles that they have actually ran into. And so it's about a part of the investment is knowing what the road to that goal looks like. And sometimes that's obfuscated by what we have kind of romanticized about the goal that we have in mind or mythologized about that goal. And we don't often see the real road ahead. And so it's always good to go to those who have reached that goal themselves, if possible, and find mentorship through them.
I like that.
Thank you.
I'm Landon Skaggs. Yes, one.
What?
I'm swelling up a little bit. I was about to tears right there. That was good. That was a good response, Mr. Chris Carswell. I believe that was one of the best possible responses that we could have had. Thank you for what you've said.
All right, we're rearing towards the end of this podcast, so just one more time, I want to just go around and see what everyone thinks about should we live for today or plan for tomorrow, their final opinion when you compare it to a musical career. Fadlan?
I be living for today, man. I make my music for today.
Chris?
Live in the moment, but plan for the future. Invest in the future, but live in the moment.
I think I can describe that better. As a Chinese and military philosophy undergrad at the University of Kentucky, I think living in today is important, but just like military operations, you have to live in the day, right? Because you can't survive the day without preparing for the day. But you have to live for tomorrow, too, because without anything, without any preparation, you really won't be able to succeed. Actually, can we rewind real quick? I have something to say.
I think we're running out of time for that.
Okay, my bad.
But I would like to thank y'all for doing this today. I think it was a really good conversation. I think it was pretty funny as well. Thank you, Landon, for that.
You're very welcome. He is Landon Skaggs.
I'm Landon Skaggs. I'm an undergraduate student at the University of Kentucky in philosophy and military and Chinese philosophy.
But thank you all, everyone, for participating in this, and thank you for listening.